everybody? Thank you for joining me for another one-man review. Today I've got 3 projects that were sent to me by Told to Tell 3T Publishing. I'll put the link to their Instagram below. It looks like they got a lot of interesting small press stuff. These are 3 very different projects. 2 of them are anthology, and then this first one, Good Grief, is all by one artist, Glenn Pierce. So I'll go through and just give a review of each one of them, and you can get an idea of the kinds of things that they do. This first one, I know there's people who like this type of thing. It's not my thing. It feels like they're rantings of a borderline schizophrenic person who needs catharsis, and you can just see that just like long bits of writing and like this collage of pop culture stuff put together. There's like references to mysticism. There seems to be conspiracy theories, and it's very like anti-authoritarian, anarchistic type of stuff, which, you know, I don't have a problem with that in general. There's obviously a lot of problems with authority, but it's a certain type of like cathartic ranting that I see a lot in small press stuff that doesn't do it for me. But I know a lot of people like these kinds of things, and there are interesting collage combinations. The actual like techniques of how they're making the art, like sometimes I really think it's interesting, and sometimes I think it's like you don't know how to use Photoshop yet. So it's a really varied book, and I think that's the other part that gives me almost a schizophrenic feel to it, is there's like a lack of consistency. Like some days you're having good days, some days you're having bad days. I don't know. The piece that I enjoyed the most in this, just because it was information I didn't know, and I'd have to look it up, obviously. Who knows if this is factual, but I'm assuming this is factual stuff. I should do my research. But it just goes through punk rock family tree in America, and it shows a lot of famous rock stars and punk rock stars and tells what their parents did. And so many of them work for the military or somewhere in the government, that it starts to have like that conspiracy theory, like, ooh, what's going on there? Or it's just, even if it's not a conspiracy theory, like, oh, they're like priming their kids to go create some social revolutions. You know, it's just them rebelling against their upbringing is interesting. You know, you get like Frank Zappa, his dad worked at chemical warfare. Mark Hoppus, his dad was designer for the U.S. Navy. Jim Morrison, U.S. Navy admiral. Steve Albini's dad worked for the developed missiles and worked for Star Wars program. So all of their parents are like really, really intelligent people, except for Jerry Garcia. Not that it wasn't intelligent, but son of a retired professional musician. And Courtney Love, a psychotherapist and publisher and manager of the Grateful Dead. But most of them are connected to government stuff. So that one was interesting. And some of the drawings there on the portraits, like this one of John Spencer, is just really kind of has a good Dave McKean vibe. So I like that, and I see a lot of potential in this, but the rest of this is just like, I didn't know what to make of it. But I know that there's an audience for stuff like this, so I wanted to share this one because some people might be interested in tracking it down. Here we have Alan Moore, Warren Ellison, Grant Morrison, and Neil Gaiman, and some kind of conspiracy theory there. So not my thing, but I do think there's an audience for it. It's not just like bad comics. What I liked more is the other 2 are anthologies, and I like that because I can find the pieces in it that speak to me and just talk about those and ignore the things that I think aren't that great. Or even like this first piece in here that I like, The Wobbly Chair by Audra Stang. I don't think this is an artist I'd ever follow up on. That's another thing. I just like finding new artists and getting on their Instagram and following up on them. But this one, I'm not going to follow up on this artist, but just as a one-off, I like this piece because I could relate to it. Talking about someone in their English class who died, and she had a wobbly chair, so she switched the chair, and everyone in the class is like, what are you doing? You stole the dead kid's chair. And it's like, well, he's not going to use it. And that just cracked me up because, you know, I'm probably on the autism spectrum. You know, as you get older and you learn how to deal with it, it's less obvious. But as a kid, I never really thought about those kind of emotional reactions either. It was always just very practical. And like, I understand the social awkwardness of all of that. So I really enjoyed that one for that. So that's why I'm saying, even in an anthology, it's like, I'm never going to follow up that artist, but I enjoyed that. This is, and I shouldn't have put these sticky notes on this newsprint. This is by an artist named Muckrask, and they're at Blood Worldliest on Instagram. No idea what this is about, but just very formally compelling from a formal design standpoint. So that was an artist that I followed on Instagram and will be excited to follow up more on. Raymond Salvador, this is Radiator Savior on Instagram. I thought this had some really good art in it that was like someone that was worth following up on and watching what they do. Like they're going to be doing more stuff that's cool. I especially like this sequence here where they go into like some warp zone and you get these abstractions here. So that's an artist I'm very excited about, Raymond Salvador at Radiator Savior. I shouldn't show this page. This one, again, just from a pure visual, like formal elements and principles of art standpoint, I just like it as a piece of design and drawing. I was completely unable to read anything that it said. I don't know if you follow this through, if you can piece together some words or not. And even up here, I misread it. It was supposed to be reap and sow, but I thought I saw red sow or something like that. So I don't know. Just that one stood out to me. That one's by Nate Nebian, which is NJNEB on Instagram. So someone else I followed and found interesting. This one here by K Pazik. I didn't really like it, but there was one interesting moment in it where there's, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but there's like an antenna that sticks up off this character's head, and then it creates an implied line, so it's almost like an implied tangent from this panel up into the neck of this one, and then into the little antenna sticking off of this character's head. I just like that as a visual thing. I don't know that it was intentional, and it creates a weird like upward motion that I think works against the flow of the page, but I like moments like that in comics when they're done well, and even when it didn't quite work, it catches my interest. One of the problems is here, the text is supposed to read across this way, and just in terms of like gestalt perception, it grouped these, so I want to read this way and then read this way. So I think it was unintentional, but it's an interesting moment that I noted. Really liked the art on this this is Other Jinn, Jinn, on Instagram. This really made me think of the types of images we've been getting from the AI, which is really fascinating. It also reminds me of like Tori trying to go to bed. She has a hard time falling asleep, and she'll just sit there and scroll endlessly on her phone, to the point where like I have a problem going to sleep sometimes, and I'll be like, you gotta get up and just like, you're not ready to go to bed, go out in the living room. And so the kind of horror of getting sucked into the phone and it ruining your ability to sleep is communicated really well in here, to where it like shatters the phone screen, and they just keep swiping anyways, even if they got the glass in their hand. So I think this one's really good, and I really look forward to more art by Other Jinn. This one here, good art, but totally disgusting. I don't even want to show it. Good art here too. Really like the art on this. This is Kammenson and Arnold. Sorry, I didn't tag that with let me get theirs, because that had good art on it. They got all the artists on the back. Stephen Arnold and Michael Kammenson, and this is at Pillow Talk and Hot Press Comics. I definitely followed them. I don't know why I didn't have a tag on that, because I really like the art in that. That seemed like really high level, competent cartooning, especially on this 25 years later, this whole bit by them. This is a different artist, but this is really good art here. This one was just funny to me. Pinocchio's like coming out of a cosmetic surgeon, and oh, Pinocchio, you look so sexy. Have you had work done? No. And then like his nose and his erection lift him off the ground. So that's just funny. This one's pretty funny too. Kiss of Death. Death's coming in, and it's like, nah, I just got a hangover. Put in the friend zone. And then this one by MS Harkness, I also thought was really good, really well cartooned. It was autobiographical, but really well done and compelling, and really just like the cartooning on this. So this is another artist that I'm following now on Instagram, and looking forward to the other stuff they're doing. So I really enjoyed this. Obviously, there was a bunch of stuff in here that jumped out to me, and I thought for something that's just a free little magazine on newsprint, there was a lot of good quality stuff in here. And then this is Told to Tell #4, and this is the main anthology for the company, I believe. This is in color. It's like a nice glossy paper that it's printed on and everything. It got shipped with like a little magnifying glass, and I thought that it looked like a lenticular, and I thought it was supposed to be some effect, and I asked what that was for, and the publisher just responded. I didn't get a first name, by the way. I apologize to whoever sent this to me. I just know the Instagram handle. But they said that they felt like details were getting missed, and so they wanted to have like a jeweler's mall so people could look at the details in the artwork better. I don't know, maybe because I'm such an eagle eye, like I feel like I'm seeing everything pretty clear. But it's an interesting idea to send along a little extra something else. But yeah, for me at least, I can see everything perfectly fine. It has like this cool kind of like, it's not all just comics. It's like a magazine. It's like an artist's process for how they made a book. Just some different artists. I really like the way this art looked. The story didn't do anything for me, but a lot of interesting stuff. One of the things I was most excited is an artist I had just found on Instagram. Jay Weber, is that the artist's name? J Sharp Weber. Yeah, Gemma Webster Sharp. I know Jay Webster Sharp on Instagram. I had just found her stuff on Instagram and had been considering ordering some of it because there's some weird grotesque thing about it, this like kind of horrific surrealism to it all that intrigues me, and it looks like it's going somewhere. I like the stippling, but I've been holding off just because I've spent way too much money this month. So I'm glad to have some of her art and just be able to see it in person and see it in print. And it's definitely, there's like pages like this are really great with all the continually shrinking rhythms and stuff. But it's surreal, and I think it's stuff you get just for the art, so those things always push back on my list a little bit. But really enjoyed that and was happy to finally see some in print. And then the other thing that stood out to me was this bit. Let's see who's that by. I don't know. It's hard to tell. So J Webster Sharp. I don't know if this is the next thing or not. So it may be Church Door Lounger. Yeah, I think it's Church Door Lounger because there's other stuff after this. This looks disconnected from the rest of it. I like this. It reminds me of Baron Story, who was someone who influenced like Dave McKean and Bill Sienkiewicz and Kent Williams and all those guys. It seems like the Keith Haring, you got these little Keith Haring characters. The Keith Haring, like postmodern glitch version of a Baron Story comic. It made absolutely no sense to me. And I know from talking to the publisher that they're interested in it. The interest in this book is to have really experimental works, not straightforward, easily digestible things. And so it made no freaking sense to me at all. But just something about the visual, formal kind of components of this I find very compelling just to look at from an art standpoint. I don't know that I find it compelling from a comic standpoint because I don't know that the sequences hold together in any way. Like when I've talked in other videos about poetry of form, and I'm not sure that applies here or not, but I have to think about it, and I like that. So this also, I think, had some good, interesting stuff in it that pushed me and made me think, and it makes me interesting to see. I'm sure it's a different group of artists in the other Told to Tell stuff. So this looks like a company that's putting out a lot of stuff that will have at least one thing that appeals to somebody in every issue, a really good variety, wide range of variety and taste in comics. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking through them, and obviously found a lot of the artists interesting. So definitely check out. I'll try and link to as many of these artists as I can underneath the video, and I'll definitely link to the publisher and check them out. They're doing good stuff, and it will be a good way to find up and coming artists. Also, make sure that you check out all of the rest of the stuff that Sean has forthcoming or already has out from Living the Line.
The Abolition of Man is a 5-issue mini-series done by myself and Sean in collaboration with the Midjourney AI. What you're seeing here is the cover to issue 1 and the first couple pages of issue 1. This first issue, we fed it an essay by C.S. Lewis, and this is just the imagery that the computer spat back at us. Issues 2 and 3 are a narrative, starting with the story that I wrote when I was 21, and then Sean's going to write issue 3, picking up where I left off. In this one, I'm kind of trying to force the AI to give me the images I want, and then doing some tweaking in Photoshop to get these kind of colored looks on it. For issue 4, we're turning the task of writing over to the AI as well. So the AI has written the script, and then we've just put that into the Midjourney AI, and it's turned out art. The script and the art is some of the absolutely most horrific stuff I've ever seen. We're a bit scared to even publish this issue. And I don't have any art to show for it yet, but Sean and I have decided to do a 5th issue of Abolition as well, because we have someone who we're really, really excited to have on board, providing an essay for that 5th issue that we'll illustrate, and we'll announce more about that soon. Eric Creek's The Exile, which has been described by the artist as his Viking Western. It's a really intense story of revenge, rendered with this beautiful pen and ink style, and then these couple of spot colors that were also done in layers on ink and then converted into color. So that's just a really, really beautiful book, and a really intense story. There's also Yokoyama Yuichi's Plaza, which is a totally intense manga by an artist who has somehow figured out how to distill manga down to its purest essence. This book was successfully funded on Kickstarter, but if you missed the Kickstarter, you can order it through any comic store, any bookstore, Amazon, any place that you would normally get your graphic novels from.
Take it away, Jack.
What's the